Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Today we have a special guest who is not only just a guest, she's also a counselor like me. We're going to be talking about grief, but first, Cindy, can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yes. Hi, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm Cindy Perrone. I'm a licensed professional counselor and the newest therapist here at Mobile County Health Department. And I'm so happy to be here with you guys today.
Yes, we are absolutely thrilled. There's definitely a need. More and more referrals are coming in, and we are just excited of maybe reaching people that haven't decided to come in for a counseling session, but could benefit from some education, some psychoeducation on grief. So in getting started, we first want to define what grief is. By definition, although there are many definitions of grief, particularly what most people think of is death. Webster states that it is a deep state of depressed caused by or as if by bereavement or a cause of suffering or a trouble or annoyance even. But grief in general takes many forms. It not only is caused by things like death, which is more obvious, but it is also caused by not so obvious things. So, Cindy, why don't we talk a little bit about the obvious things and the not so obvious things? Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Sure. The obvious things that we all kind of know about grief is the loss of a loved one, maybe a loss of a job, or maybe even a loss of your home by a disaster like traumatic means. But then there's also the not so obvious grief that we experience every day and maybe don't even realize it. Things that people don't come up to you and say, "Oh, Virginia, I'm so sorry for your this and this." It could be a change in job because you're going to grieve losing the coworkers that you might have worked with for 10 years. Let's say that you become disabled in some way. Well, you're going to grieve the lifestyle that you're going to be missing.
Right.
And then a big one to me is pets. You know, people think that losing a pet shouldn't be that big of a deal, or some people do. And they don't really understand when you can't really move past it so quickly.
Right.
And I personally have grieved a pet, and I did not realize until it happened to me how devastated I would be.
Right.
And so I have a newfound respect for that, and I think that we don't need to overlook some of the things, the major life changes that could cause a grief reaction.
Right. And sometimes when you don't think you should be grieving, or maybe you don't even want to admit that you're sad, you can handle it in a way of just not handling it. And that's sometimes where it can manifest then in unhealthy ways, such as depression, anger, just lashing out at people and not really knowing where that came from. That's often because you have unresolved grief. You have healing that has not occurred yet that you need. So in general, grief affects people in numerous ways that you might be feeling. So this could include a loss of appetite. It could include just general headaches. It could include insomnia. It could even include lots of crying, anger, anxiety, guilt. You could be ruminating a lot, which basically means you're obsessing about one thing over and over again.
Sure. It affects you in so many ways.
Yeah.
Physical, emotional, cognitive, things that you wouldn't even think about, like she was saying, ruminating and having almost nightmares about things or reliving it over and over. And so if you don't address it, then those things can only get worse. And so it's good to really look at that grief, get some support.
Right.
And we're going to talk about some really positive things that you can do. But the main thing is we don't want you to isolate yourself. We want you to reach out to family, supportive loved ones, a counselor. There's support groups out there. And then, of course, Virginia is the expert on wellness and self-care. So
you are the expert. But really, she has a wealth of knowledge that I learn every day from you. one thing that I really kind of wanted to touch on that we didn't elaborate as much in the outline, but that one reason why people are hesitant to talk to family and friends is because they've been burned. Maybe they've heard something a friend or a family member has said that has really made it worse. So,
yes, definitely.
and that really happens. That happens often.
Like, Virginia, you just need to get over it.
Right.
Or it's been long enough.
It's just a cat. Get over it.
It's been long enough.
Right. Or even more troubling things that people say that all of you that are watching maybe can recant something. Oh yeah, that was awful when so and so said that. So for one, I guess that gives us insight into two things. For one, if you're just somebody that wants to do good and wants to help a friend or a family member grieving, then focus on you just being there with them. It's okay not to say the perfect thing. Really, all they need is for you to be there. Give them a hug. If they don't like to be touched, though, just respect that.
Just be present with them.
Just be present. Just be there with them, and just say you want to be of help and support. You don't have to have the perfect thing to say. And this goes throughout communities. You know, even well-meaning religious leaders and things like that, they might not say the right thing to help you feel better. So just kind of be aware of that, and also just have the expectation that not everybody's going to know what to say. A lot of times grief creates a lot of just confusion. Nobody really has everything figured out, and they might be more likely to just say the wrong thing. So try to give them grace, but I do want to validate any of you's concerns and say I'm sorry if somebody has said something that was not okay to say, because I know that happens, and that creates more isolation too for a lot of people. They're tired of it. They don't want to hear that
grief
kind of stuff.
is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Grief is scary, and people really don't know what to say. And so if you can take one takeaway today, like Virginia said, just sit with them, be there for them, because isolation really is not what they need at this point.
Right.
A certain amount of it would be okay. You're going to go and you're going to lay down, you're going to cry, you're going to want to be by yourself, but then you need to get up and get some support and do some self-care and love yourself and don't know there's no right answer to this, to grief, and how long it goes on and how
it's supposed to come out or happen. Everybody's unique.
Yeah.
I mean, they really
are. And so
you're
not wrong if you want to cry and you're still crying a year after, 2 years after. You know, I still cry 3 years after my dog passed away, and still for loved ones that have passed away. So there's no time limit on it. So
right. And so a couple of helpful things can be, like Cindy said, seeking support. So if you aren't comfortable talking to family and friends, you know, you can seek a counselor. I mean, we provide free of charge counseling here at the health department at Family Health if you are referred from a physician, or you can call us and we'll guide you through that process. But in addition to that, you know, sometimes support groups can be really helpful. Similar people that are dealing with similar grief issues, you could find that even on the web, different support groups. Obviously be cautious because not everything's good, but you can find that at some of the resources here in the community. I know Lifelines Counseling has some support groups. And really just one thing that I help people pay attention to is their basic needs. So sometimes when you're in a great deal of emotional distress, you forget to eat, you forget to sleep, you forget to bathe. So try to get some of your basic needs met. Sleep does wonders. And if you've noticed, if you don't get the rest that you need, the emotional distress heightens big time. So try to get your rest at night and try to take care of yourself. We brought a couple of props and we are kind of wrapping up, but we at least want to kind of give you some visuals as far as things that you can do even if you don't really feel like doing it. If you do it, it can help you feel better, and you can see that after that. That can be helpful.
So one, you're going to want to eat
good
and healthy foods, not sugary foods and things that are going to, you know, sugar and alcohol and things like that is a depressant.
It is such a depressant.
So you want to eat
research.
healthy. And this is a big one too.
Yes, drink plenty of water. Not just fluids, meaning not Cokes all day long. Water.
I love this one.
This was given to me by a precious friend, and it meant the world to me because my cat died, and I've had him since I was 16 years old. So it meant the world to me, and I'll never forget that she gave me that. That's all that she needed to do, and she did it.
I love this too. You can do a journal, and you can write about your feelings, because sometimes it's easier to put it down on paper than it is to actually say it. So, and then after you get it out, you feel better.
Absolutely. This is something that I do with kids, but go outside and play ball. You know, it can really help you just getting outdoors. And in addition to that, nature's really good.
Yes, nature, music. I should have brought my headphones. Music is a real uplifting thing, and you can either listen to upbeat stuff and dance around and just get your body moving, or you can listen to maybe your favorite song and just chill out.
Yeah. And say, you know, you're grieving and something has hurt you as far as your self-concept, maybe a breakup, something like that. One thing that's really helped me is I dress up, put makeup on, get my clothes on, go out to a coffee shop, and I just feel good about myself. So even if I'm sad, it can help me feel better by just getting dressed. This is if you like spa nights, you know. And then finally, this is a cat toy, and I really feel like I might get some comments that I'm a cat lady. I'm not a cat lady. I am, though. And playing with your pets can really help with grief. I mean, that's where most of my patients connect, is with their pets, and so there's something very valuable about that. So, you know, a couple of things to look out for is our last main point is the ways of dealing with grief that is not helpful. Unfortunately, it's most commonly widespread, though, and that is the alcohol abuse and drug abuse, in addition to just numbing in general. Numbing, in fact, can include anything like binge watching TV. If you don't give yourself time to grief and you just numb by substances or TV or just eating constantly, whatever that is, you're not dealing with your grief, and it will come out in other forms.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, and also be aware that you're not alone. Sometimes holidays can actually bring on grief because it's a reminder of maybe a loss that you have. So you're really not alone there either.
And look out for your relatives and other people too that might be suffering a loss. If at holidays, it just seems to heighten.
Yeah. So the biggest take home is that grief is unique. It can manifest in different forms. Living by grace and no judgment can be really helpful in you not only being good to yourself, but also in caring for your loved ones. So I think that's all we have for today.
Okay,
thank you for your time, those of you who tuned in. And remember that you can get in touch with a counselor here within the behavioral health program at 690-8889. And again, area code 251. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.